Dubai changed everything. 1. The lobby. She stood in the lobby, heels clicking like a ticking clock, though the sign on the invitation read, "Punctuality appreciated." It was the kind of phrasing that made her heart take note. This wasn't just a meeting. It was an audition for life itself. So she was early. Not foolishly early. Just enough to show respect. Just enough to breathe in the marble scent of ambition. The faint perfume of opportunity. Glass walls framed the desert sky. The gold haze of Dubai's late afternoon looked almost like another promise, waiting to be made. 2. The first glance. He walked in. Not rushed. Not late. A man who seemed to know. That time bent itself around him. She didn't know yet that this was the moment. Her life would take on a fault line. The kind you can't see until an earthquake of the heart arrives. He smiled. And it wasn't the kind of smile given in passing to strangers. It had weight. It asked questions without speaking. It offered something without explaining what. 3. The meeting. The conversation began with business. Goals, timelines, performance metrics. But somehow, in between the clipped sentences of professionalism, there were currents. Invisible, electric. She answered his questions precisely, but her mind wandered to his eyes. Dark, observant, as if he was reading more than her resume. And maybe he was. 4. The city. Dubai at night is a contradiction. Fountains singing beside mirrored towers. Laughter spilling out of rooftop lounges. The call to prayer threading softly through the neon. They met again. This time not for business. A dinner officially. But the table was round. And so were the questions. They circled each other carefully, testing edges, finding common ground in places neither expected. She spoke of where she came from, a place where winters were long, and dreams had to be fought for. He listened without interrupting. It made her want to say more. 5. The shift. It happened slowly, a hand brushing a wine glass toward her, a pause that lingered after a joke. A look that stayed half a second longer than necessary. Somewhere in the unspoken, a line was crossed. And once it was crossed, it couldn't be undone. 6. The days that followed. They began to meet without arranging it. Chance encounters that didn't feel like chance. Conversations that should have ended, but found excuses to continue. The desert wind grew warmer. Her laughter came quicker. Work became a background hum. Life, for the first time in a long time, felt like it was happening in real time. 7. The night. There was one night, the one that would stay etched, like a watermark on her memory. They stood by the marina, city lights scattering across the water. He told her things that sounded like truths, even if they were dressed as possibilities. Her heart did something reckless. It believed. 8. The goodbye. But Dubai is a city for transients. Deals close. Flights depart. People promise to write. Then don't. He said he had to leave. A project overseas. An obligation he couldn't break. She smiled like it was fine. She even said, "I understand." But understanding doesn't mean acceptance. That night, she watched the sky over the Burj Khalifa flicker with lights and felt the strange weight of something unfinished. 9. The aftermath. Weeks later, her routines returned. The meetings, the reports, the sound of her own heels on the marble floor. But something in her had shifted, like a door had been left open, and no one had closed it. Sometimes she caught herself looking toward the entrance, half expecting him to walk in, half afraid he actually might. 10. The lesson. She would come to understand. It wasn't just love that had found her. It was the reminder that she was still capable of risk, of wanting something without guarantee. Dubai had given her ambition, but it had also given her a story with a beginning and no middle, just an ending she carried quietly, like a jewel she couldn't wear, but couldn't give away. 11. The return. Years later, she would step into another lobby, in another city, and remember the weight of that day, not with regret, but with the bittersweet knowledge that some goodbyes change you more than any promise ever could.